Now I'm going to go over some information about how you can progress through the training and why I chose this particular type of interface. I have organized the flow of this tutorial much like other tutorials at lynda.com, in that we'll start with the most basic concepts of PHP and we will work our way into more complex features and actual projects towards the end. So if you're new to PHP and web programming, I highly recommend that you follow the flow of the tutorial and start at the beginning. You can and should watch many of the videos multiple times if you don't fully understand a particular concept. Well, you can see it's very easy to navigate to the files once you have this installed properly. Again, the files I am referring to are the exercise files. If you do not have the files available with the CD-ROM or Premium Online Training Library subscription, then you can watch and learn the concepts by watching and listening to my instruction. PHP is great, but at the same time, you might come across some errors. So check out the debugging videos that come up later if you want to start writing your own code right away. Now what you're going to do is look at my code, of course, and you really want to type it exactly, because if you don't, then you're going to run into syntax errors. So do check out the debugging videos, and that'll give you some basic understanding of what could happen to you. I do that along the way as well, with different examples, and a couple of syntax errors pop up. That's quite normal. Alright, so this section, Scripting Basics, is extremely important. The flow, control, and looping is extremely important as well. Now, you'll see some basic HTML examples here, but you'll see a lot of formatting and color and things like that. Just look at the HTML and where the PHP lies in relation to the HTML, and things will start to make a lot of sense to you. Things like working with arrays and more about strings, you can hold off on that a little bit, do that a little bit later if you wanted to, but definitely get into these strings. Strings are very powerful and very important. And before you know it, you're going to be into web forms, and this is something we all have to do when we design our web pages, create web forms. And before we get into the database, of course, we need to understand how they work. And then you can see we're going to organize our code in functions. That's important to be able to organize our code. And then before you know it, we're going to be in the database section, connecting to data, retrieving data, and this can definitely be a very interesting section to go over. At the same time, it's going to be more difficult if you don't understand the basics. So do keep that in mind. And then we're going to get into some real-world examples as far as doing email and user registration screens and things like that. And then the session. This will be very interesting for presenting information that our server sees when users come to visit our web pages that are based on a scripting language like PHP. And then we'll also do a login system that's going to really bring things together, as well as talking about cookies. So you just need to take it slow. When you're learning a scripting language or a programming language, it works the same way as when you're learning Dreamweaver or some of the other software tools. You can teach somebody the application itself, but they're going to have to find out what they want to use it for. Now we give a lot of real-world examples here later on, and you can see user registration and things like that. But you can use PHP for just about anything, and that's going to be up to you to really dive in and see what you need to accomplish with PHP, because there really is a lot that you can do. You can also take a look at phpMyAdmin. I will be showing you how to use phpMyAdmin later in this tutorial so that you can create and modify MySQL databases. Again, as I mentioned, phpMyAdmin is a tool actually written in PHP that allows you to administer your database locally or over the web directly within a web browser. This is a PHP application. It's going to give you a lot of code here that you can just peek at and see what it looks like. You can just bring that into your editor and see that it looks very similar to what I'm doing, except you might see some complex examples that rely on other pages and things like that. So go ahead and browse that as well, and you're going to see some very interesting things that you can do. That's more advanced, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of power to be able to see such a robust application as an open source product. So now you will know the approach I will be taking in teaching you PHP. Let's move on to the next movie.